I keep saying hose.
Pisses and show. Sounds about right.
Pisses and poos.
Pitches and shows. It's the podcast where Luke and I pitch each other some ideas, or, you know, in this case, like tonight's episode, where we just sit down and we
say, hey, producers,
let's do this. Listen to us, Marvel and Netflix, because this week we're going to pitch the next great Marvel Netflix series. Now, the rules for this pitching session.
Eat a dick.
Damn. None of the actors in the show can be from in other MCU movies or shows, unless
or DCU. Because I don't want to get that.
Well, unless it's a crossover. Like, they have to have, because you can't just throw them in there as a different character. They have to be that character they play.
Yeah.
And another rule is, yes, it can't be, well, we could take people from DC if we want. No, you know what? Right.
No,
you can't take anybody.
It's going to be this big controversial thing of like, ooh, he's supposed to be this guy.
Can't pick Moosehead. So we can't cherry pick anybody from the DCEU, and that's about it. And yeah, of course, like I said, it can't already be an adaptation. So you can't, if there's already been like a Fantastic Four movie, well, never mind. Fox owns them, so don't even worry about it. Can't do Fox properties either. Strictly Marvel Studios owned properties.
And both of our characters
are so
that we chose
fucking obscure.
Mine's a little bit more well known. I mean, it's not, but people know who he is.
The reasoning behind the choices that we made, where we wanted to pick obscure characters, because that's what Marvel has done. Because they sold off all their big properties. They're now starting to get them back, but they sold off all their big properties, so all they can do is do the obscure ones.
Yeah, we're going with like the B, C, D list.
Because to be honest, Daredevil is the biggest name that the Netflix shows have. I mean, obviously there's these hardcore bases for Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Iron Fist, but the Punisher, he wasn't introduced until season 2, though. So, I mean, like, Daredevil, for a long time, was the only thing that he had. And I still think Daredevil is my favorite, but that's a different show.
Daredevil is so cool because he can do what no one else can, and he's got a serious handicap.
And he's blind.
Doing it.
He's fucking blind.
So,
anyway.
Side note, I liked how they did the whole...
He sees fire.
They do the jab at Ben Affleck's Daredevil, where it's all
he saw it through the rain, but now he sees it through fire.
Yeah. Which if
rule?
Matt Murdock had a pickup line, it'd be like, "Hey, is your name Misty? Because you look hella good in the rain."
Also, the thing that I like about what I'm doing in my show, I don't have to be in New York.
Which is true. Mine's technically in Chicago.
Yours is in New York.
But he eventually goes to New York.
So there you go. For yours, since it is in New York...
Technically, I'm going to Egypt. So, fuck you.
It's spanning Egypt.
Mine is...
in New York.
It's probably going to be centered.
Mine is definitely more obscure than yours. I will say
that is true.
And that was just because...
Mine does have some magic aspects to it. Not so much as yours.
Yeah.
But
well, yours is fun. Yours, I think, you could definitely play around in that idea. But I will say mine came out of luck because I wanted to do a Moon Knight show, but then you came with the idea and you're like, we could both do one and do different versions. I was like, no, I want it to be something different. You can have Moon Knight.
And I said Brother Voodoo as a joke, and you were like, no, that's cool.
I was like, wait, that sounds like an amazing name. And then I actually found out that he's a real character, and I liked it. And the more I read about it, I liked it. And yeah, I almost bought an action figure as a joke, and then it was like 20. It was $20.
I would love to buy a Moon Knight action figure because Moon Knight.
Oh, by the way, that trade paperback I found that was under $10 called Dr. Voodoo, which is when he took over as being Sorcerer Supreme, only lasted 5 issues.
And he's not. Like, hey.
No, I mean, no, there's some people that like him, but he's so fucking obscure. And I think that's what's cool about it. So anyway.
Yeah.
Our shows, Luke is giving me a Moon Knight show. I am giving a Brother Voodoo show. Quick backstory for each character. I will go first since I have the page up. Brother Voodoo was created by Lin Wayne. Wayne? I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Also, he's, for you comic book nerds out there, yes, he is the creator of Wolverine. So yeah, Brother Voodoo started his own feature in the Marvel comic book series Strange Tales, and it ran about it was issues 169 to 173, ran from September 1973 to April 1974. He also had a backup feature in horror comics magazine Tales of the Zombie. Did not know that. I'm going to read that. So Brother Voodoo's name was changed to Dr. Voodoo when he replaced Doctor Strange as Sorcerer Supreme, which happens later on in his story. But Brother Voodoo is about a guy, what won me over initially.
He just makes a magical gumbo.
It's
so good. It's
otherworldly.
And it's to die for, man. And you would be resurrected to try it again.
What really won me over for Brother Voodoo was not only his like alias name, but his actual name is Jericho Drum, and that's a cool fucking
Jericho
name
Drum
with 2 M's. But so yeah, he is. He returns home. He's a native of Haiti, and he returns home of education after after 12 years. He was originally around 20 years. 12 years of education and practice as an accredited psychologist. Ooh. In the United States, Jericho discovers his twin brother Daniel Drum, the local Haugen, and it's Haitian for priest. So he's a high priest. There's a lot of magic and there's a lot of mythology into this character, and I think that's really cool. I mean, they're already doing it with Doctor Strange coming out in a couple weeks when we record this in November.
Which I'm not a fan of.
I don't know. I'll definitely check it out.
I mean, yeah, I'm totally gonna see it, but it's like one of those characters.
But what I'm saying is, that's why I like this idea of this being a Netflix show, because that movie opens up the door for Marvel to actually start doing magic and not fuck it up like DC did.
Which, speaking of what DC did, I've been watching Arrow, and Katana made a guest star in one of the episodes. Same cast as in Suicide
Same
Squad.
chick?
Yeah, same chick. And I was like, wait a minute. Maybe.
That's just racist. It's probably a different person. You
No,
just
it's
actually
the same.
No, I'm kidding.
No, it's the same. So I was like, in hopes of, maybe they're going to get Stephen Amell to be Green Arrow and Justice League.
Yeah, so he meets up with Daniel Drum, local Hogan. Is Hogan? I don't know how to pronounce it properly. It's Haitian. I don't know. But yeah, he's a big high priest, and he's dying as a victim of a voodoo sorcerer who can be possessed by the spirit of the serpent god Damballa. There's a lot of fun names. And just before he dies, Daniel makes his brother vow to visit Daniel's mentor, Papa Jambo.
Papa Jambo.
And Papa Jambo teaches him in the way of voodoo magic, like in the way of voodoo arts and magic, and he gains great mastery of voodoo practices that his own brother, or getting even better than his own brother, and he's a Hogan in his own right. And then eventually he learns how to, and this is I think one of the coolest aspects of his character, he can summon his brother's soul, and he can help him fight.
That's awesome.
And as I'm pitching this, I want to pitch, after we're all done with the Netflix show, I'm going to pitch you a fucking Brother Voodoo video game.
Video game?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be so cool because you'd summon his brother and you can co-op the brother.
I don't know about that.
Well, not necessarily co-op it, but you can control both
work
of them.
Something there. I'd have to dig up the old file. I also pitched a Ghost Rider game that was open world, and then you could find random crimes and petulant stare them.
If they were to do a video game with any character, it would just be like the Lego universe where you can just be everyone.
You could be Brother Voodoo in the fucking Doctor Strange DLC.
It's awesome.
They don't give a shit. They'll pull anybody. There's over 100 characters.
There's Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl. Fuck it. Screw Moon Knight. I'm doing Squirrel Girl.
That'd be a good comedy show. That'd be a good sitcom. But yeah, he takes the name Brother Voodoo because of that, which is fucking cool.
My name is Brother Voodoo.
Because his brother Voodoo.
Because my brother.
So yeah, he challenges the priest and goes by the same name and as his god Damballa, and there's a whole cult. There's a whole bunch of other really cool Haitian stuff that's going on. Now, it isn't hoodoo. The only thing I would change about the show, maybe set it in the bayou and deep south and Louisiana, where there's a lot of Haitian and Cajun influences down there. So that's kind of the backstory.
A little bit more how you can tie it into the New York
you can tie it into the rest of the MCU. So tell me about Moon Knight. Give me his backstory.
He's a guy
who hangs out in the moon.
He's it's actually Neil Armstrong reincarnated as this god.
Oh my god! For a second, I thought you said Neil Armstrong. For a second, my mind went to Lance Armstrong. I was like, "What the fuck does he have to do with the moon?"
He's a cyclist from the moon.
He's a cheater. He's a cheater.
They decided to bring the Olympics outer worldly.
Marvel got fucking political on us. So
first appeared in. I can't say the first guy's last name. It's Doug Moench.
Let me see it.
It's Moench.
Munch.
Whatever.
I'm just saying Munch.
And Don Perlin, and it first appeared in Werewolf by Night, and he was hired as a villain by the Secret Empire to kill the title character, the werewolf. Apparently, he was granted a solo spot in '76. He appeared first in '75. He didn't get it until '76.
Oh, by the way, quick thing. Brother Voodoo has a manservant named Bamboo.
Bamboo.
Bambu. Bamboo.
Wow. Okay, anyway.
I don't know. That's pretty fucking
his
cool.
secret identity is Mark Spector, who was originally a mercenary hired to take down this werewolf. So he's just going to go on like a hunt and capture all these people.
Oh, yeah. It was a weird name. I know.
Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, that was his first appearance, right?
First appearance, yeah. And he was a mercenary, and he finally got recast as a solo hero in '78. It's a lot of like crazy stupid stuff, but
I'm pitching Brother Voodoo.
that's true. But like he was supposed to take down the Secret Empire. Subsequent appearances in Marvel 2 and 1 and Stephen Grant, written by Stephen Grant, and he was also in the Defenders. So
oh my God, that's perfect. You can tie that into
that's what I'm saying. Like you can tie it in because he eventually teams up with Daredevil to take down the Jester, and that's how you would totally tie it in. But there's a couple other things where he's like got multiple personalities, where he's constantly battling with who he really is. So like at some point he's basically Bruce Wayne, where he's a billionaire playboy, and then sometimes he's a cab driver, and like it's funny because nobody ever figures out that he's this other guy. They just don't think of him as, you know, whatever. He was originally a U.S. Marine, heavyweight boxer, and then he went on to be a mercenary. So with what I want to do is that he is in the Marines as a boxer. So like, you know how you have like the Army, they have their boxing organization.
Right, yeah.
But he's a Marine, and so he's a boxer. And once he finally like gets high enough in the military, they finally like hire him on as a mercenary to do all this crazy shit.
That's kind of cool. That would be a cool like
and to
couple
tie
episodes.
into the other what we already have. I want him to be in like the same battalion as Punisher. So like he's like
just have a nice little like tease.
Yeah,
to
like
that.
somehow he's like with Frank Castle at some point.
Yeah.
Like they're like on the same task force or something.
See, it would be really like the thing that really kind of sucks about Brother Voodoo. Like I could have it in Haiti and have the Haitian story, but I just like the idea of the setting in the bayou. My big issue is like his biggest thing is he's really buddy with Doctor Strange, and you couldn't really get Cumberbatch to do
Cumberbatch.
Which
Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I'm a Cumberbitch. That's what his fans are called. It'd be hard to get him to do multiple episodes on the show. So I mean,
you could probably do like one episode just to initiate the fact that he's dying and he's a successor.
That's how you tie it in. I don't know. Because later on in the story,
Or not even have him in it and just reference Doctor Strange a couple times, like he's on the phone with him.
Right, yeah, or
doing a seance or some shit.
Reference the people that train Doctor Strange, like they're trying to get a hold of him and do things like that.
Before we get any further, I want you to tell me who you cast.
Okay, yeah. So we were talking about this before we recorded, and I was sitting there and I was thinking about it. I was doing some Google searches, looking at some names, looking at some dudes, as you do.
As you do when you're trying to get a dick in your butt.
Smooth unicorn. I was looking through a bunch of different actors, and the one that stuck out to me, that one I think that would be really cool, it would be Common. And I know what people probably would be thinking, like that might turn them off, like Common, whatever. I don't think he's a bad actor. I don't necessarily for what I've seen him in, I don't think he's been bad. Excuse me. And I think he would be an interesting choice. He'd be an interesting choice. Now, he technically was in the DCEU, but he was a gangster in Suicide Squad that was unimportant. He got shot, so I can use him. I think he has a good enough look. He would definitely have to get more of an athletic build, but I like his look. I like his delivery, and it would be interesting to see him trying to do a Haitian accent. But I really do like how he presents himself as. I could see every time. The more I think about Common being Brother Voodoo, the more I see him as Brother Voodoo. You know what I mean? So the more that I run it through my head, the more I see him doing it. So, yeah, Common would be my Brother Voodoo. Daniel Drum, Brother Voodoo's brother. I said Mos Def as a joke because I was looking through pictures.
Mos Def, man.
I kind of like it. But
it's
just funny to think that Common and fucking Mos Def are two like
iconic,
they're very distinct styles of like poets, and like when they rap, and it's just like, because fun fact, rap actually means rhythm and poetry.
Oh yeah,
and they were definitely like poets of them. And to see them do as superheroes,
do riffs as these like spells and shit.
Well, they wouldn't fucking rap it, but
I know. Yeah. I'm just saying, like that's basically what they're doing.
It's their new rap is making spells.
Yeah. But like you see Mos Def as like this old school like priest, like doctor dude, where he's like.
And the thing is, the more you say it, the more you can see it.
That's what I'm saying. Like I can see it.
It's not that far off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'd have Mos Def as his brother Daniel Drum. What was that guy's name? Nathan. Oh man, I slipped my mind. I think he would be my Damballa. Dambula or Damballa. Anyway, those two are the big names that I would see doing it, and I think you can make some fun banter with that.
Yeah, I almost got it.
Although it might be a little funny to see Common in a wig. That might be the funniest thing of it all.
I don't know. You might just not give him one.
No, because Brother Voodoo has some sick-ass dreads, and I want them.
It's Nate Parker.
Parker.
You could always go with Morris Chestnut. I'm just saying.
He comes later. He's bamboo. He's the fucking manservant.
I was looking through Moon Knight's history and like different stuff, and they ran him a kid's sidekick for a while because, you know, all superheroes need a kid sidekick.
Was it like in this was in the 70s?
This was like more in the 80s.
Yeah.
But his name Moon Knight and Midnight. Like what? Not that I'm going to use that, but
it's like Batman and Batboy. It's like
yeah, pretty much. But no, it would be like
those would kind of be my main cast. And the first season would be the Strange Tales introduction of Brother Voodoo. So it would be him fighting Damballa and defeating him and all that. And I'll go into more detail about that. What it is be.
Okay, well, my cast is, and it's going to be very expensive because these are two very, very expensive men.
I don't think you could do it on a budget like this, but you know, I don't know.
It's true.
It's Marvel; they got a lot of money.
I would do Jason Statham as my Moon Knight just because he is able to play multiple personas, but still be the same guy. Because like every character he's ever been is different, and yet it's the same. If that makes any sense whatsoever. But like because Mark Spector has multiple personalities, I want each like one of Jason Statham's past characters to be a personality, not like specifically saying like these are the guy, but like I want him to
transporter.
I want him to be in like Death Race as the taxi driver, and he's Frankenstein, but he's still like he's always going by Mark Spector, which is ironic enough that he doesn't know who he really is, but he always knows that
my name is Mark Spector at the very least.
And when he's like billionaire playboy, he's like Handsome Rob from The Transporter. Or not, no, The Italian Job.
Yeah, the Italian
Job. And you know what? I take back what I said about Frankenstein being the taxi driver. the transporter. That's the taxi driver.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are you thinking?
And at some point, he's the merc. So he's what's his name from Expendables?
Yeah.
And like all these different things. And then with my Bushman, the bad guy, the guy that's supposed to be military, whatever, I want him to be like the.
So they're in Egypt.
Like
by the way,
lieutenant.
are they in Egypt in this beginning of it?
Like, yeah. So it's
Well,
it's military base, so it's kind of like
I'm kind of jumping around.
jumping around.
Go ahead.
But I want Colin Farrell as my Bushman, and I want him to be like the lieutenant of the army, and like he hires him for this side mission. So like he hires like a bunch of these guys that are like qualified to do the job, and I want him to like make a just like a hint to like cameo Frank Castle and say that like he like talked to him about it, he turned it down, so you're my second choice or something like that.
Also, fun fact about Doctor Strange: if Brother Voodoo's in it, I'd be real fucking pissed.
Right.
It was my idea.
But yeah, and I like that. And like what I want to do, not to get ahead of myself, but I want to do like the route of the first season of Daredevil, where he doesn't don the actual cowl until like the last episode, just because I like the suspense and I like to understand who he is before he is what he is, kind of thing. And with the origin, I want it to be this long lasting thing to where he has to go and get it, because that's kind of how it happens.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, and then with what I would do with the first season,
Because he gets the cowl and the power from a Egyptian god that after being fucked up, he like hides behind it, and it
talks to him.
It
tells him what to do.
Bestows himself as this entity into him and on him, and during the full moon
inside him.
And then during the full moon, that's when he gets most of his powers. So I want to.
So he's a werewolf.
Basically, and I want to dwell on that, but I don't want it to be completely that. So I want you to pitch your show to me, and then I'll pitch mine before I get too carried away.
Well, Brother Voodoo is an interesting character,
and I want you to give me a theme song idea. Like if money was not an option and you had the opportunity, I want you to give me.
I could pick anything.
Anything
In the world. Yeah. Well, you already know.
Oh, I know.
But before I get to that, like the main storyline that I would go with, like I said, would be the Damballa storyline that initially started his character, because I like that idea. I would start it out the way that it starts out in the comics, where he comes again. I'd say
twice.
Fuck it, they'll
Super
be
hard.
Fuck it, they're in Haiti.
They're in Haiti.
Well, I mean, I could make it. This is the song. It's Voodoo by Gus.
Dude, and you could just like, even if it was like a couple seconds where he just says Voodoo, Voodoo,
Brother Voodoo,
and all you would have to do is like,
I love
him,
time out.
doing like a spell in his like basement, and it's like super dark, and all you see is like the whites of his eyes, and he's like whatever, and then you see his brother, and like he's dying, and he's like grieving because he's dead, and then you see the other guy. And
if you'd let me pitch my own fucking
I'm
show.
just saying, like that's the title sequence. You can pitch everything else. I'm just giving you a title.
No, what I would do with the Brother Voodoo story, it would be very much like the beginning of the show would start out with him in the United States getting his degree, graduating, things like that. Coming back,
I did it.
Yeah,
This is for you, Dad.
this is for you. All right. I don't know why I went this.
Hey, Bumpy.
Because I don't know how to do a Haitian accent. So yeah,
I would just do Cajun.
Honestly, he's coming home. Oh, I hit my mic. He's coming home from studying, and he's this guy. He's respected as a scholar. Like he made something. Like he's in this neighborhood that he came from is kind of rough. Like I don't want it to be stereotypical black guy story, but it could be like he's from a poor neighborhood or not a very great neighborhood. So when he comes home, it's a big deal.
Village.
But you know what I mean. I don't want them to seem like
Stereotypical black guy coming from poverty.
Right. And well, I mean, it's either way. You don't have to do that, but it's still a big deal. Like to these people, it is a big deal because he went to America.
It's like one of those dead-end villages where nobody actually is able to do anything.
Well, he became the American dream, and he came back. And he came back to help his family and help everything
now he's
else.
the Haitian.
So, well, he's in the United States. He's working as a psychologist. Gets a call from his dad saying his brother's dying. So then he comes back to Haiti to help his dad take care of his brother. And like the show itself doesn't sell the voodoo or any of the magic.
It doesn't sell enough toys, so it's gonna get canceled first season.
It's not Warner Brothers.
It's just so dumb.
But it's not gonna be like big on the voodoo or anything until later. So like the first couple episodes, it's going to be a very grounded human story. And then after that, fucking shit hits fan. But so like the first episode, he comes back and you're kind of getting the relationship with his family and his brother. And it's maybe not as strong as it should be because it's like, hey, when we needed you the most, you ran off to Haiti kind of thing. You know, that whole storyline of you left us kind of thing. And you're like, you're only coming back because he's dying and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, you don't understand. There was nothing for me here. I'm doing what I had to do. If you were really my family, you would understand that. And you blah, 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 blah. Typical, like.
The reason why your brother's dead.
Typical angsty teen, but this guy's like in his 30s.
What do you think he's 30?
You know, stuff I deal with all the time when I go home. And well, I'm not in my 30s, but. And,
getting there.
Getting there. And I'm just fucking doing podcasts. And. So yeah, this stuff happens, and then he meets Papa Jumbo at the funeral. And
hello, my name is Papa Jumbo.
Like they tell him it's cancer or some kind of disease or whatever, Zika, Zika, and he goes,
"Not be saved."
Who are you? I'm a close friend of your brother's, Daniel, and. You got to understand that don't believe everything that you're told. Don't believe everything that they say. And he goes, yeah, whatever. You're crazy. I'm a psychologist. I'm a smart guy. I went to school. I know things kind of thing. And he goes, if you really want to know what happened to Daniel, if you really want to know the truth about your family, you'll come see me. It doesn't leave him a card. Doesn't say anything. He
just does the whole route of Nick Cage and Ghost Rider where you could save your dad.
Well, and it's kind of like we'll find each other.
Yeah.
Because
side note, if you watch season 3 of American Horror Story, it's really shitty. It's not the best season at all.
The Coven.
But there is a chick that's studies dark magic, and she's doing voodoo and stuff, and they call upon
Murder.
and they call upon what's his name, and he's like the dark entity that like bargains with human souls, so whatever, which is super creepy. And if you don't watch it for any other reason, watch it for that, because the voodoo aspect is just super cool.
Yeah, I've always found that shit fascinating.
Oh, yeah. I'd never fucking indulge myself into it because it's just dark time.
I wouldn't fuck with that. But yeah, so then he eventually meets up and finds Papa Jumbo.
Papa Jumbo.
Like they meet each other by circumstance. And so they're talking, and he goes, so what happened to Daniel? What's the real story? What's this thing you've been trying to tell me? What's your angle here, whatever? And he goes,
the answer's your secret in the jumbo.
Eat the jumbo.
Eat the jumbo.
Jumbo's jumbo.
All right. Sorry.
So yeah, he's like, there's a lot more to your family than you think. What your brother was dealing with was some serious dark arts and voodoo. And then he finally says it. It's like voodoo, these horrible things. And at first, Jericho, Brother Voodoo, he's like, whatever, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. You're a crazy old man. You don't know anything. And then he goes, yeah, well, how well did you know your brother? And then he kind of like calls him out and be like, fuck you. You don't know anything about your brother. You don't know anything about your family. You left. You ran off. So then he's like, oh, I'm going to get this fucking pity party again. So then they have this little argument. And then like, Papa Jumbo keeps badgering him. Because you got to have that angry old guy in every show. I feel like that has to be a thing. Stick.
You know what?
Look at Stick. He works perfectly.
You got to recast and just make Sam Jackson Papa Jumbo.
I can't. He's Nick Fury.
I know, but an angry black guy. That's what he's plays best.
He's Morgan Freeman. I can't.
Damn.
I don't have that kind of money. So yeah, he he follows him out and keeps saying these things. And then, like, Jericho goes to take a swing at him.
Just do James Earl Jones.
There you go. Jericho goes to take a swing at him, and he catches it. And then, like, starts to crumble his fist, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? And this is happening in broad daylight. Nobody's, like...
It's like in the middle, like, public place.
Well, that's the whole thing.
street.
He's using a spell that they can't see his magic, and then he's also using the spell that, like, he is making him crumble.
Outworldly, man.
Right. So then he's like, what the fuck was that? And he goes, what I've been trying to fucking tell you, dick.
It's fucking very
Actual dialogue in the script.
Actual fucking...
What the fuck is this? I've been fucking trying to tell you. So then he's like, explains to him, this is what your brother's into, and I believe if you're anything like your brother...
S&M. This is what he said.
You could become the next Hogan. You could become the next high priest. See, when he heard he was the high priest, he thought he was just a regular dude, just a priest. He didn't notice all the voodoo shit and all the magical stuff. Mm-hmm. So then so the next couple episodes, you do the death of. So you have the death of Daniel, right? So you stretch out the next couple episodes of him learning the dark arts and learning how to do the, not necessarily dark arts, but learning the voodoo and shit. And the same time, you're building up Damballa. And building up him. He's the serpent god, which is fucking cool sounding.
Serpent god.
And you're building his character up, and you're explaining what he can do, and it's showing that he's got this. There's this item. I'm trying to look up the name of it. There's the certain item that he has that gives him all this power. It's an artifact of power. It's called the Wangle.
They're Wangle.
And you could see what I think is cool about Damballa is he's supposed to be like a serpent god, right? And he builds up a cult around that. So I think it'd be cool as in the one side story, the main story of Jericho learning how to become the high priest. The underneath other plot line that's going on is you see Damballa creating a cult and showing that he killed Daniel because Daniel tried to stop the cult and things like that. And then in this time, I think Jericho needs to have a dream where Daniel talks to him and they have a conversation. Then he finds out it's not actually a dream. He's learned how to conjure. Papa Jambo has conjured up Daniel's soul and explained to him, these are your abilities. This is what you can do. And then Jericho learns how to do it himself. So then that whole season is Jericho becoming Brother Voodoo. And then they have their big fight in the end. And then Jericho beats him, takes the artifact, locks it away. And because, whatever the sake of the story, in Haiti, if you're the Hogan or the high priest, you're a big deal in this story. So then, yeah, he by becoming a high priest, gets a nice mansion. And so there you go. Both of our characters get a nice mansion and become rich.
Yeah.
And he locks away the Wangle. And then so that way...
We gotta rename the Wangle.
Yeah, because that's what it sounds like. I don't know if it's actually pronounced that, but
the Wangle.
It's spelled Wangal, so it looks like Wangle. Wangle.
It's probably Wangle.
Wangle. Either way, he locks it up.
It's
only
Wangle,
Daniel the Spirit doesn't even know the combination. Only Jericho knows the combination. So that would be where my first season would go. Now the second season, I have no fucking idea. But that would be my first.
That would be up to the producers, man, because it's our job to get it going. It's their
Right.
job to keep it going.
I think it'd be interesting to have the two parallel stories, the one of Damballa building up a cult and then the one of Jericho becoming a priest, because you're seeing both characters develop and
Priest
become stronger and
supreme.
stronger and stronger. And then maybe throw in a reference to Doctor Strange every now and then. Maybe if Marvel didn't fuck it up, you could throw in the Mandarin, but rumor has it that they are. There's a short film that like shows.
That's supposed to explain why they did what they did.
Well, there's like a short film to explain that the Mandarin is really what he is in the comics, and like there's somehow some way that he becomes the actual Mandarin.
And it's a thing of why the fuck would you waste your time doing this instead of just actually doing what you wanted to do?
Right. That's my Brother Voodoo show.
All right, so give you a little background on
Season 2, he's going to become a zombie. Well, actually, you know what's really cool is Brother Voodoo does team up with Moon Knight several times, so you could cross that fucking over.
Oh, yeah. It's like, whatever. But my thing was to start kind of in the war times. And I guess because of the time we're in now, it would have to be the Afghan war and like Iraq and all that stuff. And Mark Spector is, doing his boxing career and everything. And he's got all these powers and abilities that come behind all his different ways of combat. So like he's got let me see where I'm at. He's got expert hand-to-hand combat, various martial arts. He's an Olympic level athlete where the boxing comes in, so like he's high up there on the ability to punch your face in. He's a skilled acrobat and gymnast, and he excels at combat strategies. And he's able to use a very extensive list of weapons, and he does like throwing darts, nunchaka, and all that stuff.
Nunchaka.
And Taskmaster, who has the ability to copy and replicate anyone's fighting style. He prefers not to copy Moon Knight's because Mark Spector would rather get his ass kicked than block it. Like he would rather just take the punch and get his ass kicked than give in to blocking it and doing all this stuff. What are you making the face for?
There's a hot... I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's a hot rumor going around that now that Marvel has Ghost Rider, there's a team of Brother Voodoo and Moon Knight and Ghost Rider called Midnight Suns. And there's a rumor that it's coming to the MCU and Netflix.
Dude, that'd be so badass.
Anyway, go on.
That'd be so fucking badass.
I'm sorry. That sort of pissed me off because, like, motherfucker.
But he gains his superhuman powers as a result of a visitation by the Egyptian moon god. I want to say Khonshu, because it's Khonshu. So like Khonshu, whatever, something like that. Which gives him strength, endurance, and reflexes enhanced depending on the phase of the moon. So, what I wanted to do was that which wouldn't exactly be a very good story, but eventually it would just be like on a full moon. He's a werewolf, and he just gets his powers on the moon. But I want power and abilities with the phases of the moon, he gets stronger on the full moon. When he's not during the full moon, he's basically just relying on his own abilities and reflexes. And what I wanted to do was start with him being in the military, and they're in the Iraqi wars. And Bushman is what?
I'm sorry, it wasn't Brother Voodoo. It was fucking Blade. That would be in the Midnight
That's even cooler,
right? Fucking Wesley Snipes,
dude. No, they need to fucking bring.
Okay, go ahead. Go
him
ahead.
in that too, Brother
and
Voodoo.
Morbius, the living vampire.
Yeah, dude.
He's in this fucking team.
Motherfucker.
Go.
Okay. Anyway.